So you had this is what everybody's talking about. Aaron Maté confronted Senator Chris Coons. He sat across from you on the train when, with Israel using U.S. weapons to kill thousands of Palestinian civilians, including 4,600 plus children. I asked him why he refused to call for a ceasefire, and well, here it is.
Senator, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but why not call for a ceasefire in Gaza? I'm a journalist. My name's Aaron Maté. Why not call for a ceasefire in Gaza? You have 4,600 children killed. 46. I know it's a quiet car, and I apologize for this. I understand, but children are dying. Children are dying, sir. More than 40. Why not call for a ceasefire? They're being killed with our weapons. U.S. weapons are killing kids in Gaza.
Who are you?
My name is Aaron Maté. I'm a journalist.
Nice to meet you, Aaron.
Likewise.
Please stop talking to me.
I'm sorry, sir. It's of dire importance. More than 11,000 civilians, as we're talking, being killed. I'm a journalist for the Gray Zone.
What's the Gray Zone?
It's a U.S. based news website.
Good for you.
Thank you. And right now, with our support, kids are being killed. I'm sorry. With our weapons, I'm asking you to explain. Why not call for a ceasefire?
You're bothering me and everyone else around.
Kids in Gaza are being massacred. I'm asking you, please explain. Why not call for a ceasefire?
Stop. Sir, could I please have some help here?
Jesus Christ.
Kids are being killed with our
Stop.
weapons.
I'm asking you to stop.
Why not stop? Why not call for the stopping of
them? To interview me. You're bothering everybody else around.
It's a crisis right now.
How did you get this seat?
I bought the seat.
No. He's bothering me while
He's a
I'm trying to do work.
and our government is paying for weapons that are murdering children in Gaza. I'm asking him why not call for a ceasefire.
Aaron,
Can you explain that?
please stop.
Can I ask you to explain why I call for a
You've already asked me
ceasefire?
5 times. I'm not
And
going
why
to call
won't you
for a
explain?
ceasefire. I strongly support humanitarian causes. I've urged the Israeli government to target their campaign against Hamas. But you need
Do you think
to
the
stop.
campaign is targeted against Hamas when
Aaron,
civilians are being massacred,
Aaron,
when babies in incubators are dying
Aaron,
because the
please
fuel's
stop,
being cut
or I'm
off?
going to have you thrown off this train. Please stop doing this.
I have to
You've
ask these
asked me
questions.
10 times.
I know, and I
You're
will keep.
getting as professional, measured, and appropriate an answer out of me as you can. This is not professional journalism. Please get up and leave now.
I don't think it's humane to be massacring kids. That's the problem here.
That's
I
right.
realize I'm not
I don't
being
think it's
professional.
humane to be massacring kids either.
Okay, then
And
why
I
are we
think when
supporting it?
Hamas massacred 1,400 Israeli civilians.
Uh-huh.
The whole world should unite in opposition to terrorism.
First of all, the number is 1,200. It wasn't
Are
entirely
we going
civilians,
to
but
quibble over
regardless.
how many civilians were massacred by Hamas?
It's important to be precise. It's important,
It is important to be precise.
But yes, civilians were massacred.
I'm a senator.
Does that give us
This
the right
is
to
a
kill?
quiet car. You're breaking the basic rules of how we operate on Amtrak.
Okay, and the question
Please
is,
stop.
and I believe we're breaking international law
Okay.
by supporting
Thanks for
massacres
your
of civilians.
opinion.
Yes.
You've had a lot of my time. Please move on.
Why not at least
All right.
call for a ceasefire?
So that was great. Aaron, when are you going to grow up and understand that in post-World War II, international rules-based order is way more important than silly things like rules or order? and hopefully soon, one day, our whole country will be one big quiet car. And then after that, the world will be one big quiet car. Important people are trying to relax. So here's what you had to say about it. After questioning Senator Coons about his support for Israeli massacres in Gaza, I was asked to move to a different seat. I complied. About 30 minutes later, he walked by me. We did not exchange words. After the next stop in Philadelphia, I was removed from the train. I assume this was done at Senator Coons' behest. And so, just to let you know, need a quiet space to work or unwind? Quiet cars are available on many corridor and short-distance trains. Guests are asked to limit conversations and speak in subdued tones. So anyway, that's
Wow.
So that was fantastic. We really appreciate that you did that. It's crazy that you think that a U.S. senator would care about 4,000 kids dying.
Like, what?
It's kind of nuts. But go ahead. What would you like to say about that interaction?
Well, first of all, and the problem with saying these figures of, 11,000 killed, including 4,600 children, that is that by the time you say them, the figure is already outdated.
Right.
So at this point now, the official toll is over 4,700 children. And I'm sure it's far more because there are people still trapped under the rubble. And yeah, look, It was awkward. I did put him on the spot, but he's sitting right across from me, and he is someone who is supporting a mass murder campaign. I've never seen anything like this Israeli assault in my lifetime. It's unbelievable. All the lies we've been told, for example, about the hospital now, the claims that there was a command center underneath Al-Shifa. And as soon as Israel got there, invaded this hospital, which is just in itself unbelievable. It's like, who does this? Who invades hospitals after bombing them? Then Israel started changing its tune because they know actually that there's no Hamas command center under the hospital. And now they're saying that, now they're basically moving on from that. So like the brazen lies and the brazen ability to just move on from what they previously said to justify these unspeakable crimes. This guy is supporting it. He's voting for it. He's funding it. He's sitting across from me. So of course I had to confront him and ask him. And I did try to respect the rules of the quiet car. I did speak softly. If you listen to that video, I am speaking in kind of a hushed tone.
So there, I don't know. Is there any kind of irony or something that in order to facilitate a Jewish ethno-state slaughtering babies and Palestinians, that he had a Holocaust survivor taken off a train? There's
the descendant of a Holocaust survivor. Yeah,
that's what I meant. Yes,
the descendant of a Holocaust. Yeah, my father was born and shortly after that, Budapest, Hungary, was occupied by the Nazis, and he barely survived. And so, seeing the Holocaust invoked to justify this mass murder campaign, I feel like I have all the more of a duty to speak out against it. And yeah, I mean, there's so many ironies here. He claims to care about civility and the rules as he supports the massacring of babies in the most sadistic way. I mean, you've seen the footage of these babies in incubators, some of whom have died because Israel cut off the power to their hospital. It's just so unbelievably barbaric. And yeah, after I was asked to move, I was told basically by the conductor that unless I moved, I'd be taken off the train. So I complied. I gathered my stuff in silence. It was pretty awkward. Coons just sat there like fuming and pouting. He did not look very happy. And so but I moved, and then everything was fine. Now, in the interim, I posted the video on Twitter. It started going viral. I'm sure he got word of that. And about 45 minutes later, maybe half an hour later, he walked by me, saw me. I didn't say anything because I am respecting now the rules of the sanctity of the quiet car and his request that I not talk to him. But that set him off. And at the next stop in Philadelphia, I was approached by 3 police officers. They took me off the train.
Jeez.
And I had to catch the next one. And it's fine. I mean, I was inconvenienced with an hour-long wait. The people of Gaza can't escape the murder campaign that he's supporting.
What did the cops tell you? Did you what the crime that you had committed?
I mean, I'm not charged with anything. They just said the conductor had asked that I be removed. But given that the conductor had previously let me change seats and sit there and said that only if I didn't change seats would I be removed, I have to assume that this was done at the behest of Senator Coons. Because if you watch the video, you'll notice one of the first things he says is, "I will have you thrown off this train."
Yes.
As if he has some sort of authority to kick off a passenger for daring to ask him a question about the massacres he's supporting.
Couldn't they just put you into the Gaza car on the train? Isn't there? There's not a Gaza car? Go ahead, Kurt.
Drop you off in Egypt.
So where were you? You traveling from New York City to where?
To DC.
Oh, okay. And so how long?
It was really funny, Jenny. So here's what happened. Like I didn't even want to sit at that table because I didn't want to, like, I don't like those tables because it's so cramped. So when I got on the train, I put my stuff there and I went to the cafe car to work, but it was too shaky to work there. So I went back to my table. I sit in my seat, and there he is sitting right across from me. And, you know, it's funny. He's such a generic looking white guy that I had to double check that I had the right person because he looks like so many other people. So I held up my phone just to make sure. I'm like cross-checking like multiple times to make sure I had a match. And of course it was a match. And so I went ahead and started filming our exchange. But notice how he says to me, "How did you get this seat?" Like, he's saying all these things, but answering my question. He says, "I'm gonna have you thrown off the train." Then he says, "What do you do? Who are you?" Then he says, "How did you get this seat?" Well, I bought it. He's saying anything he can to avoid answering the question, which is, why is he supporting a massacre of innocent people? And the answer he finally gives after enough time is that, well, there was this massacre of Israeli civilians on October 7th. And he got the figures wrong. It's been revised to 1,200. It's not entirely civilians, and that's important to be precise. It doesn't justify killing civilians, but you can't make up numbers. It was hundreds of civilians, but also a few hundred soldiers as well.
Yeah,
and he's pretending it's all civilians.
A third of the Israelis killed on October 7th were military or police, so not civilians. So that's the numbers we have.
Yeah.
And of course, he doesn't know that.
Yeah, and if you're trying to justify the killing of Palestinian civilians in the name of defending yourself, then you're also justifying October 7th.
Yeah, that's right.
Because Hamas didn't wake up one day and say, because we hate Jews, let's go kill some. This was after decades and decades of occupation. And already this year, more than 200 Palestinians have been killed by Israel and Israeli settlers. So if you believe that people have the right to defend themselves, and assuming you believe everyone is created equal, we're not supremacists here, even though, of course, Israel is. But America claims to believe in everyone's equality. Everyone's created equal. So if you believe everyone's created equal, that means everyone has the equal right to defend themselves. So if you're going to say Israel has the right to massacre all these civilians in the name of self-defense, then you're saying that Hamas had the right to massacre civilians too. And of course, actually, the Palestinian argument is a lot stronger because unlike Israel, they're resisting an occupation. Israel has no right to massacre people to defend its occupation. On October 7th, they did fight back against the militants that attacked it. And then the process, it looks like, according to some reports in Israeli media, and this is on the Gray Zone too, Israel killed some of its own people. But regardless, in principle, of course, Israel had the right to defend itself against that attack on October 7th. But it's not October 7th anymore. It's more than 1 month later. And Israel has no right to commit attacks against the territory it's occupying. It only has the obligation to end the occupation.
So go ahead, Kurt.
Individual Israelis don't have a right to defend them. They have gun laws there. They're not allowed to be armed. Remember back when they're all saying we had our terror attacks and we were saying all the schools that we should be like Israel and the teacher has a rifle slung over his shoulder in that picture. That's because that's an authority. Only authorities get to have guns there. I think after the 7 hours, they were like, all right, have some guns and go to work. But they're generally not allowed to defend themselves. Only
Kurt, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true, but what I do know is that right now the fanatical, chauvinistic, supremacist Israeli government is handing out assault weapons.
Yeah, that's right. They have strong gun control, and now they're handing out assault weapons. Yeah. It's very interesting how that works. But normally they're not allowed to be on unless you're an authority. This is after the thing, after the October 7th.
Well, again, applaud you, tip of the hat for doing that. That was fantastic, and this doesn't happen often enough. I saw someone confront. I should have played this video too. Elizabeth Warren got confronted at a restaurant recently, and she was basically cowering behind her, whoever she was there with.
And the person confronting her was a Palestinian who lost family members in Gaza. And Elizabeth Warren's response was, "I'm eating."
Oh, she's the best. Her Ukraine work was great, and I expect great things from her Israel work.
Hey, come see us doing a live stand-up show. We'll be in Burbank, California, Oxnard, California, Venice, California, Palmdale, California. Then we're going to Omaha, Des Moines, Milwaukee, Lansing, Bend, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, and Boston, Massachusetts. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets.